Hey friends, it's been a few weeks since we checked on the urban worm bags. We've had problems with some bugs, so we've been letting them sit. But it occurred to me that it's technically been over a month since they got new food. And so I haven't been opening and closing this. I figured I'd just seal it off, put all the bedding in, the mosquito bits, and see how we do. So when I open this, we're going to see. Okay, we got some bugs, a little bit of flying activity. Okay. Now, I don't know if you could tell from me pulling the cover back or not, but there is no moisture on the top of this, which is interesting. I don't know if that's because right now it's literally raining out here in Florida or what's going on, but I can tell right off the bat, and maybe you can tell. Let me adjust this camera a little bit. Those of you who've been tracking the progress here with us, look at how much this is kind of sinking in and getting, I suppose, processed or compressed from, I'm assuming, moisture content. I don't know. I'm curious to see. Last time, so what happened was the last feeding was way back here, and it was watermelon, and I thought for sure it was going to disappear quickly. And then I guess 2-ish weeks ago when we checked in, there was still food, but that was also when we discovered that there was all these problems. Now, I'm not going to move the camera around too much because there's really nothing to see over here. It's just a lot of bedding that's falling in on itself, but there's no food over there. So the next spot on the rotation, because we're going clockwise here, is going to be this area over here. So I was debating what we should feed, right? On one hand, I don't really want to put a lot of sugary stuff because I don't know what these bugs are going for and what's attracting them. But on the other hand, I was like, well, if I put cauliflower and, asparagus tips and stuff, that's going to take forever to break down, and that might attract more bugs. So I ultimately decided we are going to give them their favorite. They're hungry. We're going to give them some frozen watermelon. Now my plan is, so we can tell, or I think you guys can tell, they're right here. Right here is where the casein/coconut coir, the processed stuff is. Pretty far down. That means that all of this, from the bottom of this spatula to about, well, almost to this green handle, is all bedding and stuff that hasn't been processed. So I'm not really worried about covering it up because we have enough bedding in here to cover it up. Or at least I certainly hope so. And I don't see any worms in the area. I'm not super worried about it. And we're not actively covering worms on here, right? Because there's not really any worms up in this bedding. They're all down eating the easier stuff. Okay, so that was super easy, but let's talk about the bugs. There was definitely a few gnats, I think they were gnats, that flew out when we opened up the cover. As far as the big fruit flies, I didn't really see any of those, so they're all the little annoying gnats, and honestly, I think there's a lot less than I thought there was going to be. So now as far as, hold on, I'm going to bring it in and hold the phone so you can see. So there are some little mites up here, and that's pretty typical, but there's not any crazy amount. And then I think the last problem that we noticed was like the mites that were along the back. So there are still mites here. There's definitely quite a few over here, but I feel like looking at this collectively, yes, there's definitely some over here, but by and large, I don't feel like there's nearly as many as there was previously, or at least that we could tell. It looks like over here on this part of the zipper, there's some. So for right now, I'm going to add some more tissues just because I'm still post-op and generating a lot of tissues, and that will help fill in some of the gaps up at the top. It'll help absorb some of the moisture. And truthfully, up until maybe yesterday, we didn't have any moisture really coming out of the bottom of here. So I'm not sure if that's just because of the Florida humidity or heat, or I don't know. But here's hoping that the moisture levels are being managed. I'm especially impressed that there's no condensation on the top of this. Like, that's kind of surprising. So let me go get some tissues and I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. I got some of the tissues that I've been saving. It's nothing terrible. Just stuff from my post-op surgery life that I gotta do. Hopefully only a little bit longer. But I make a lot of tissues and there's nothing super gross on any of them, or at least nothing I'm not worried about spreading, let's put it that way. So tissues are obviously very fluffy, so they'll compact down, but these don't have lotion or anything on them. They're just the soft, naturally, non-scented stuff. So I think this isn't going to solve any problems, but the more bedding we can keep layering on, like a bedding lasagna, that'll be really good. So will that solve all of our problems? No, but it'll help slow down the growth of anything in here, and I'm hoping to get some shredding done this week, so that way we can put some shredded cardboard and paper in here, and since those are smaller pieces, they'll help fill in the gaps between all of the tissues, and generally just offer some variety. So here's hoping the food takes well. I think these guys are going to be really hungry and they're going to devour that really quickly, and maybe the moisture of the frozen watermelon will be a problem, but at this point I'd rather freeze the food and give it to them knowing that there's no bugs in here, because I'm not convinced 100% that our system had a problem that gnats got into it. I think it was because I didn't freeze some of the food before it got in here. I really think that was part of the problem. I mean, sure, moisture for the mites, absolutely, but I really think I was getting a little lazy, wasn't feeding the food, freezing the food before giving it to them. I think that might be part of the problem. I don't know. I could be wrong. But as far as mite and gnat problems go, I'm not saying we're solved, but we're well on our way to recovery. What do you guys think? Let me know. All right, friends. Until next time. Bye.